I think I can record it. Okay, yeah, I can record it. All right. But yeah, so make sure you install that. So yeah, you need your VS Code, your Python installed, and Node.js. Pip we can get to in a second. All right, so what are we doing today? So for today, yeah, like I mentioned, it's like Flask to React. And what that is it's a backend server with Python connecting to a front end on React. And if you don't know what React is a web framework that like that lets people interact with like websites. So example of front end may be like something like the Slido, right? This is the front end. Anyway, so front end is like the handling of like the design or like the interface. So like seeing the questions, the QR code display, but the back end is handling like the server request. So getting information from your phone or computer onto their server and onto my screen. So yeah, and then so yeah, that's the front end back end. And then so that's basically what we've been doing today. So I'm doing a very basic example of how you would set up the front end with Python and the back end, or sorry, the back end of Python and the front end of React. All right, so I'm gonna do the environment setup. I know some of you guys are installing Node and Python. I'll just upload it somewhere. But yeah, so let's just begin with our environment setup. So I'm gonna open my VS Code. So here on my VS Code is where I'm going to edit all my code, right? So I'm going to do everything on VS Code, except for the terminal stuff. So I'm going to create a directory, a project directory. I'm just going to put it somewhere safe that I know. For me, what I do is I created a full file just for my side projects and tutorials. So I'm just going to call this Flask tutorial. Okay, and then select. Okay, and then should have that here. Okay, and then so now for our project, we want to set up two main folders. So we're gonna have a folder for client and a folder for server. Oh, why is it not loading? Yeah, I think my VS Code is lagging. Okay, that's awkward. Okay, let me just close it and reopen it. I've never seen that happen before. Okay. So file, open recent. Okay. See, but that's okay. Okay, yeah. So now I have my client folder, and then I'm gonna create a folder for my server. So okay, yeah. So my clients folder is gonna be storing my front end, and then server is gonna be storing like my Python. All right. And then also everything on my slides here, I'm gonna be sending out. It's gonna be color coded. Blue is for front end, purple is for back end, and then I think all the pictures of like the cats, I think are back end as well. But yeah, so let's get started by creating our virtual environment on Python. And to the people that are installing like Node and Python, don't worry, we can just write down the code and then get it running afterwards. And then I can like pause at the end to kind of go through everything with you guys again. Okay, but so now we're gonna work on our servers, our backend. So I'm gonna be creating a virtual environment. So what a virtual environment does, it's just like a little box where you can run all like your Python libraries. And so it'll be like the same for everywhere that you run it. So if you're working with your teammate, it's also important to use the virtual environment because it makes sure that you have all the libraries that we need included. So so yeah, let's just begin with the first line. So I'm just gonna open up my terminal. I'm gonna use PowerShell. For Mac users, you can just use the like normal terminal on VS Code, I believe. So if you go on the top left of your VS Code, you press terminal and press new terminal. But yeah. Sorry, let me just double check if there's any questions. Would it be a big issue if my Node version is out of date? I don't know how to update. I think it should be okay. I think if you're like node 16 should be good enough. We're just doing like basic React like front end, so we're not doing installing anything too much. But if you're gonna be hacking this weekend, make sure that you install the latest node. For Mac users, you can use MVM, and just like do the same install of what we did earlier. For Windows users, you might need to download a special version of MVM that's like open source project. So you can search that up later. But yeah, so back to the main part of the tutorial. So I'm gonna open up my PowerShell, and I'm just gonna open this path. So I'm just gonna right click, copy path, and then I'm gonna do CD the path right there. So what CD does is it's choose directory. So now we're on the right directory of our project. And then the first line of code, or I guess code that we're gonna write, is we're gonna do python -m venv, and I'm gonna call it myenv. So what I'm doing here is I'm creating a virtual environment with Python. For some users, you might need to do python 3-m.venv, or for some reason my Python is weird and it's just normal Python without the 3. But yeah, does anyone have any questions so far? No? Okay, yeah, it might take a bit for it to load. Yeah, it took me like 30 seconds. But yeah. Okay, so now we successfully loaded our virtual environment. Okay, so then how do we access our virtual environment? So in order to access it, it's a bit different for sorry, let me move this. Okay, so it's a bit different for Windows and Mac and Linux users. So if you're using Windows, you just type myenv/scripts/activate. Oh, sorry, typo. Myenv is just like the name of the virtual environment you named. And then scripts and activates will always be the same unless you move things around. And then, so to activate it, you just type that. And then to deactivate it, you just type deactivate. Oh, wait. Okay, that's awkward. Okay, there we go. Deactivate. Sorry, I typed it wrong. And then if you're a Linux or Windows user, let me open up another terminal. Sorry. Yeah. So if you're on copy. Okay, CD. Okay. And then if you're on like a Linux or whatever, or Unix based system, you can just do this. It's the same thing. Oops. Oh, oops. That didn't load. Okay, you know what? Sorry about that. Let me just open my terminal here. Also, make sure when you create your virtual environment, it's in the server directory. So make sure it's not in the overall directory. Let me open my terminal here. Sorry. Okay, so I would do python 3-m venv. Let's just call it ln. Yeah. So, oops. Oh, I see. I did the wrong thing here. I made it in the big directory. It should be in the server directory. And then to access it, it's very simple. Source, your environment name, bin activate. Okay, I'm gonna head to the next slide. So our next step is to install the libraries that is dependent to communicating the backend to the front end. So I'm just gonna go back to my Windows one here. I'm just gonna activate my virtual environment. So this part is the same for both Windows and Linux users. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do pip. Or first, I'm gonna check if I have pip. So what you can do is pip --v. Oops, no, pip -- version. Oh, yeah, and make sure that you have some sort of pip installed. So here it indicates my version, and then now I have the pip installed. I'm going, or now that I know that my pip is installed, I can install the libraries. If you don't have pip installed, just like quickly Google it, and it should be like a very like pretty straightforward explanation on how to do it. But I'm not gonna show that today. So I'm gonna do pip install flask, and then I'm gonna do okay, and I'm gonna do pip install flask underscore course. So what Flask is, it's like a I guess like a web server for Python, or just like it just enables a web access for your Python. So you can create like a localhost like little web server. And this will be used to send our get and post requests. So sending information from our Python code to our React front end, or just to any like front end, or anything that uses like get and post. And then the next thing that we have is Flask course. This is so we can run our Python with our React, which I'll show in a second. Okay, so now we're gonna actually do some real coding. So let's open up our terminal again. Okay, I'm gonna open up a terminal, and then, all right, let me make this bigger. It's kind of small. Okay, hopefully that's big enough. Let me know if you want it any bigger. We're gonna create our first file, and it's gonna be oops, not file. Or create our folder. Also, let me delete this. Sorry, just so it's not as cluttered. Okay, so we're gonna go to our server, and we're gonna hit the create button, and we're gonna create server.py. Okay, and then this is like your Python folder for hosting your Flask server. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I want to import my library, so I'm gonna import Flask. So I'm gonna import Flask from Flask. Oh, okay, there you go. And then I'm going to import the course. And what course does it, I don't know, I forgot if I mentioned already, but it just lets you communicate with the front end by the local ports, which I'll show in a second. Okay, so now let's create our Flask app. So I'm going to do app equals Flask, and then underscore name underscore. So this is 2 underscores, right? So this creates the Flask for the Python file. And then I'm going to enable cores. This is so I think cross origins referencing. So this allows you to reference to your other localhost files. Supports credentials. Okay, I spelled it. I spelled it wrong. Oh, sorry, credentials. Okay, equals true. Okay, so then this allows us to communicate later on for our React front end. And then the next part is we're actually going to create our first method. So I'm going to do app.route slash, and then I'm going to do def home. And this is going to return hello world. So when we do a get request, so when we get information from a server, it automatically links to hello world until we do a different one. But yeah, I'm just gonna leave that there for now. And then I'm gonna do if name equals main, and then app.run debug equals true. And so what I just did there is this is like the main method, if you're familiar to Java programming. Or this is just like it just runs the app immediately when a when a file is launched. So okay, so now that I have my Python code, I'm going to test it out. So I'm going to open up my terminal again. Can I make this bigger? Okay, I don't think I can make this bigger. But I'm gonna do, or let me open my slides. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna type where to go? I'm gonna type Python Oh, why is my terminal acting like this? Okay, I'm gonna type Python, or actually let me clear. Okay, I'm gonna type Python server dot py. Also type that out in chat if it's hard to see. Python server dot py. Let me retype that, sorry, a typo. And then I'm gonna head on to my localhost 5000. So localhost 5000. And so when you open your virtual environment, it should say like running on 127.0.01, whatever, right? Let's see. I'm gonna open this back up. Oh, yeah, and to stop your Flask server, you just do Control C. Oh, there we go. And then it'll stop your server. And then if you want to start it again, just like run the same command. Okay, there we go. Now it works. I think my computer was just being like sloppy or something. But yeah, so now we can see that we created our GET request and it says hello world, right? So what's happening here is that we have our server and our server is it hosts hello world, right? So on the server, this is like information that's here. And then we created a GET request and it sends it to our browser, right? And then we can see hello world. So then this can communicate to like other parts of our code. All right, okay, that's good. So then let's get started with our React part. Actually, wait, where's my slides? Oh yeah. So then now we can get started onto our React part. So let's do so let's open up our VS Code. And this time I'm actually gonna use my terminal on here. So now on my terminal, I'm gonna do cd client. And also if you're already using VS Code, you can just hit this button to create a new terminal. Or you can just open up another terminal elsewhere. But yeah, I'm just gonna I just like to use the VS Code one here. And then so okay. So now that I'm on my so now that we're moving on to our client or front end, we can create a React app. So actually, wait, I'm gonna cd back out into like the main directory because I already created a folder called React. And I'm gonna do npx create dash react dash app client. And then what this does is it's gonna call React to create our like React code. So it's gonna generate a bunch of code for us, which is like the template. So it's gonna take a moment. Okay, there we go. Starting development. Okay, there we go. So yeah, I think for me it automatically loads. If it doesn't, you can just type localhost 3000. So okay, so right now, to sum up what we've done. So we set up our server, right? And the server contains our information, right? So here we have hello world. And that's gonna be hosted on localhost 5000. And then we have our front end, our React, right? And that's going to be hosted on localhost 3000. Yeah. Okay, so and then our next step is to edit our front end. Okay, sorry, this is just taking so long to load. I don't know why my computer's so slow today. Oh, okay, there we go. So then your React app should look something like this. This is like the default like install of React. Okay, but we don't want this. We want to change it up to our requirements. So let's head back into our client code and let's head into src. And then we go to app.js. Actually, before we go into there, let's delete this other stuff because you don't need that. So I'm gonna delete app.test.js. I mean, you can keep it if you want, but okay, anyways. now we can head into our app.js and delete the default stuff. I should delete all of this. Okay. And I'm also going to delete this. So what you should have left right now is this in your app.js. And then here in your app.js, we can set up our fetching. So let's set up our fetch for our information. So let's we're going to be using React use effect. So we're going to do React, comma, use effect, and let's also import useState from React. And then this oh yeah, that's fine. So this lets us get get information from our server and load it constantly. So let's do use effect. So under the function, we're gonna do use effect, and then bracket, and then we're gonna do an arrow function. This is just a arrow function in JavaScript, and then okay, and then we're gonna do. Let me add a semicolon there. And then we're gonna do fetch http/localhost 5000. So what we're doing here is we're getting the information that from our Python server. And we're going to display it onto our into our front end. So I'm going to create a function that gets the response information, and then it's going to do another I'm going to do another line of code for then of our data. So I'm just going to do console.log data. Okay, and then in our return, we're gonna do div. Let's do a div. Let's leave that just so we can run our code. Okay, so now when we head back onto our web page here, it should be blank. It should be blank. It's not blank. Refresh it. Okay, yeah, okay, it should be blank here, right? And then if we open up our console here, right? So let me right click. So right click, inspect. You're gonna see our console. So hit console, and you're gonna see that our hello world goes through. So then that means we successfully made a get request. So does that work for everyone? Can I get a thumbs up? Or does anyone want me to go back? I'll just leave the code open here. Okay. And then we can also we can also like display our get request. So we're gonna do we're gonna create a variable. Let's just call it like hello. And then we're gonna create another variable for set and do set hello. And then it's gonna get the use state. Use state. Okay. And then we can just do set hello to data. Okay. And then now that we have our set hello, or now that we set hello to our data, we can call hello here by using squiggly brackets and calling the variable hello. So then we come back here. Oh my god, oops. Let's see what I did wrong here. Or let me put it in a P. Hello. Okay, that's awkward. objects you want to render a collection of children. Use an array instead. Oh, I think I did the wrong thing. I think I should have. Okay, wait. Give me a second. Let me look at my reference code. Hello. What did I do wrong here? Use state. Right. Let me double check my code. Okay. Actually, let me just skip this part and get to another example. So let's actually just leave this alone. Sorry, I just a bit of trolling here. Okay. Let's do another example for our Python here. So let's actually create another. So let's go back into our server code, and okay, and then we're gonna do a example for our members. So we're gonna do an example of creating like a member. So let's do app route for members, right? And then we're gonna create a function called members, and then we're gonna return members, right? And members is gonna host our some child information. So I call M1, M2, M3 here, right? And squiggly bracket. So what I did here is I just created an array for our get request. Yeah, so I created an array, and then so let's go back into our app, our front end, and then we're gonna do use effect. And we're gonna do another arrow function. Actually, I'm just gonna copy the one that we had above. And then this one is gonna do 5,000 for members. Actually, before we continue, sorry, I'm going all over the place. Let's go back to our Python code, and let's open our virtual environment. So the one, our terminal of the virtual environment, and let's run our server. Okay, and then and let's do slash members. It's not loading. Okay, there we go. Yeah, so now we have our members here, right? So it's set in a JSON style where we have our members name, and then it has the values of M1, M2, M3. Sorry that was a bit confusing there, but did everyone get that? Yeah, can I get a thumbs up in reaction just to make sure? Thumbs up. Okay. Everyone else okay? All right, sorry if that was a bit confusing, but let me show you the code again, or I can also paste it in chat. So basically what I did is I created another get request, right, for members. So here's our get. Okay, and then let's go back into our front end here. And then now we're gonna set up the request for our members. So now we're gonna display our members code. So I'm gonna create a variable, so const message, and then set message. So basically what I did earlier, but without the trolling, hopefully. Okay. So I have a message and set message, and then I have my use effect, right? And then so let me also comment this. Oops. Members. Okay, so here are my members. I'm gonna set up the set message for data set message for data dot members, right? So this will get all the information of the M1, M2, M3, and set it to our message variable here. Yeah. And then we can also log it to see if it runs. So actually, let's see if it actually does run here. Okay, yeah, so yeah, see it. So if we go back into our front end here, it did successfully get the request. And then, okay, so then how do we display it? Okay, yeah. So we can display it by using just like JavaScript. So we're gonna do a squiggly bracket, and we're gonna do array dot, actually, let's do, sorry, message dot map bracket, and we're going to be doing member index. So I'm just going to be using the mapping function, and this will map the index, or like the values, so the members here, sorry, the members here, so M1, M2, M3, as well as its indexing. So members, and then I do another bracket, so this is like a arrow function, and then I'm gonna do p key equals index, and then member, and then we should have, okay, there we go. So then here we have successfully added our get request information into our web page here. So M1, M2, and M3. But yeah, and then sorry, let's try again with the hello world. Sorry, it's okay, so okay, so we can set up another variable, and we can do const hello and set hello. Right? Okay, yeah, set hello, and yeah, and then we're gonna use state. I'm just gonna leave it empty. And then here we can do set hello to our data, and then we can return our hello, hopefully. See if that loads. Okay, never mind, that didn't work. Okay, maybe we can do hello. Are we gonna do JSON dot string hello. See if that works. Okay, there we go. Yeah, I don't know why that wasn't working earlier, but yeah. So we successfully set up our hello world and these attributes from our web server. Sorry, that was a little rough ride. But yeah, essentially what we did is that, so just to sum up, we were able to get our information from our Python. So this could be used for if you want to set up like a database or like use an API. So for example, for my first Hack Western, I used like Cohere's API. Some people might want to use like ChatGPT or whatever. So if you want to use like ChatGPT in Python, you can set up your request onto here, and then you can send your ChatGPT info or like the information that it creates and send it into our front end Flask, or sorry, our front end React, using the use effects of the gets, and then it'll send onto your front end here. And then this is just like basically any static like HTML page. You can style it and like give it some more like, I don't know, design. So like, say like I do div class name equals big or something like that, right? I can just do this, and then I can go here, dot big, text or font size, like large, extra large. Yeah, so then yeah, so what I just did is I just like styled. So if you're not familiar with JavaScript or like React components or just like HTML, basically I just like gave this class a name. So I called it big, and then I styled it in the CSS to make the text big. So I made my hello world stand out. Okay, sorry that was a bit of a rough start, but yeah, that's pretty much the end of the workshop. Does anyone have any questions or anything that wasn't clear? Also, I'm gonna be posting this onto GitHub. But yeah, do we have any questions or anything? No? Okay. Was anyone able to get success? No, yeah. Okay. Well, I hope that made sense for you guys. Sorry it's a bit cluttered. I'm gonna actually upload it onto GitHub right now. So yeah, hack Western people. Yeah, could you help me send it out later? But yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks so much, Jackie, for running through the workshop and being able to record and share slides. We'll definitely keep it updated, potentially on the Luma. Otherwise, we'll share it with um, our Slack channel once all the hackers are in it as well.
But yeah, also actually, yeah, we can share it onto the Western AI Discord. Um, but yeah, any final questions or anything?
Looks like we're good. Thanks so much,
Okay.
Jackie, for your time. Is there any way that people can stay in touch with you or Western AI that you want to plug?
Oh yes. Again, follow us on Instagram or join our Discord. Great community on here. Bunch of cool stuff people are asking and doing. But yeah, just ask away on there.
Perfect. Yeah, Western AI is an amazing community. We're really glad that you were able to make it for Hack Questions Workshop and look forward to what else we have in store this year.
Yes, for sure. Thanks for having us.
All right, end the workshop here. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, guys.